All right, so welcome to Amoeba. I know you guys you've been around for over 10 years now as Broken Social Scene. The only quote I could really find about your influences was from you, from way back when, from like 2003 maybe.
What did I...
You said that Dinosaur Jr., Tortoise.
Yes, very much so.
You said Jason's into Bob Seger.
Uh-huh.
Who turned you on to music? Brendan.
I think I just really wanted an AM radio as a kid. And there was a couple stations back home, CFTR and 1050 Chum on the AM dial. So that's really, 70s AM radio is what really got me into it. And then, you know, the disco era and going roller skating and stuff.
What was that one artist who made you say, I want to do that? Like, I want to try that at least.
That was AC/DC for me.
Really?
Yeah.
Which album was it?
It was Dirty Deeds. I used to have the guys come over from the neighborhood and we would airband when I was a little kid, tennis rackets and vacuum cleaners. And then we really got into AC/DC with Back in Black, which was big.
Those were Christmas presents in 80 and 81.
Big album.
Yeah.
And you always had to get the guy you had to convince the one guy who was always the odd man out that he had to shoot the cannon. I was like, this is a big thing, man. Don't worry, you're not on drums. You got to shoot the cannon.
I made the mistake of buying, was it Fly on the Wall or something?
Oh, I saw that tour.
I was really, really young, and I was like, what do I get, Back in Black or Fly on the Wall? I didn't know the legend of Back in Black, and then I bought Fly on the Wall.
Who opened up that tour?
Who?
Yngwie Malmsteen.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't own any of his records.
I saw Yngwie
I
3
take it there was
times.
some shredding on that tour.
Dude, he did the classic. He was like the new show up. He played a bit of Eruption and started yawning. That was his big, like, Eddie Van Halen, like, oh yeah.
Is there, Justin, an album that changed your life?
One that really kind of changed things for me was Check Your Head by Beastie Boys. A little bit later on. I was a teenager. And just, I kind of laughed at it first thinking, oh, these guys, because they're kind of like party rap dudes. And I just chalked it up to some kind of a comeback. And then I actually listened to the record, and the production was really interesting. And you had punk rock songs, and you had live, they were playing their own instruments, they were sampling. They were just doing really interesting progressive stuff with hip-hop. And that record still really blows me away.
It's one of the greatest.
It's one of the greatest.
Paul's Boutique.
Paul's Boutique is insane.
It's one of the greatest hip-hop records ever.
Yeah.
Back to AC/DC. They said when I heard Rock Hard, that they rap over Back in Black, I was just, what the fuck is this? It was amazing. And it was so much tougher than, like Run DMC.
Right.
Like doing their Walk This Way thing. It was like more underground and it was a bit spookier.
What was a big influence on the record? And this could be anything.
John McEntire.
John McEntire.
Chicago.
The Wire.
Yeah.
The Wire.
We really got into that.
We really got in the wire making this record. That was good.
Important was John McEntire to this record?
He brought new energy. He brought first of all, he brought a different city. And then he brought us into a studio that is his own little world. And he gave us a lot of space. He wasn't telling us. He wasn't getting his opinions super involved.
And on top of that, we were just, he allowed us, because we're just very much the band who like to do things on the fly. And if someone's got an idea, whether it seems like a minuscule idea at the time, at least we all allow ourselves the time and space to at least get that idea out there and see what it's going to turn into. And often, that'll turn into a real gem, or it'll turn into, something forgotten for 6 months or 2 years, or who knows.
Is there an artist that either of you think of as an inspiration that your fans probably would be surprised at?
What about your Cyndi Lauper obsession these days, that one tune?
You know what? I got to check out this Cyndi Lauper on Apprentice.
She's on The Apprentice.
I didn't know that.
And so is Bret Michaels and Sharon Osbourne.
Well, Bret Michaels isn't on there now, is he? Or I guess it already got shot before he went into
before he... Well, I think he's going to pull out.
Ooh, yeah.
You got brain damage?
Yeah, he's in the hospital. Hemorrhage?
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, shit.
So what's with you and Cyndi Lauper?
People would think if I went public with my newfound fanship of her that maybe it was due to The Apprentice, but I just found out she was on The Apprentice. I
didn't
know anything about that.
I remember Spooky saved a message on his answering machine from Cyndi Lauper because she was going to do a video for him, like back in '95.
You're kidding.
Yeah. Hey, Spooky, this is Cyndi Lauper. Yeah, that was hilarious. Yeah, this was like 15 years ago. Like, dude, check it out. Cyndi Lauper, yeah.
That was a good impression, but
That was a good Cyndi
Yeah,
Lauper.
yeah, thank you. Well, I just saw her on The Apprentice. So,
Right.
But yeah, I remember this guy Todd Moore. He, because I wasn't into Cyndi Lauper, I was a metalhead. But he was talking about he saw the Cyndi Lauper concert. And, she got carried. She came in stage in a garbage can that was part of the stage act on the big tour.
And she comes out of it.
Yeah, she comes flying through the air.
Girls just want to have fun. If you hear that on the radio, you hear it anywhere, dance club, cafe, airplane. The
pops.
Production on
It
that
pops.
is timeless.
Yeah,
it is a
pops.
slamming bass and drum keyboard song.
How does it feel to be an influence on maybe a younger generation?
Feels good.
it's got to feel
glad.
pretty cool.
Glad to be asked the question.
Yeah. You know what I like? I like seeing that the history is slowly starting to just not be a constant reminder that as time goes on, we don't have to hear about, the Rolling Stones and the Beatles as much as we did when we were growing up. A lot of the new generations are starting to reference the bands 70s, 80s,
Yeah.
possibly even 90s.
The 90s are definitely coming back in a big way these days, I feel.
I like seeing there's a thriving death metal scene.
Death metal scene is coming hard.
Definitely, yeah, that's like thriving. You look in the local rag, and there's just all these bands with like names you can't really understand because the font is so confusing.
Great interview. Thanks for having
Thank you
us.
very
Thanks
much.
for having
You
us
guys
at Amoeba.
have a fun time
We will.
on stage today.
Thanks, man.
What time we?
Amoeba.